afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the SA Property Investors Network Coffee Chat, brought to you by SAPIN. My name is Khali. I always take the pleasure of, joining you guys at 1 p.m. just for a coffee chat. And today's topic is something that all of us should know, whether you're starting your journey, you want to expand your journey, or you honestly just need to find out. It's called the offer to purchase. Those of us in the know, we know it as the OTP. Yes, we're going to be discussing the ins and outs of the OTP with real estate attorney extraordinaire Alexa Levendale, but that's going to be a little bit later. So as always, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. And if this is your first time viewing, please let me know in the chat box. Please don't be shy. I like it when this is interactive because you guys, you watch us and we try to give you as much knowledge and as much information as we can bring in a short space of time, which is an hour. However, in the meantime, while we're still waiting for you guys to let me know if this is your first time or if you've actually joining us from Johannesburg, Cape Town, just let me know in the chat box. I'm going to be giving you guys a rundown of our events. I said it last week and I'm going to say it again this week. September is going to be monumental. It's going to be jam-packed and we have an extraordinary amount of events. Hopefully we'll get through all of them, and this is across the country. So if you're watching us from Cape Town, if you're watching us from Durban, we do have people from Kenya. I do remember noting, but unfortunately, SA in the SA property is exclusively for SAPIN. However, we're going to be having huge amounts of events. I do know that we're having an event in Cape Town in the next couple of days as I bring that up. I'm just waiting for that. Alrighty then, let's get down to the events that are happening. So on the Tuesday, on the 5th of September, we're going to be having a free webinar, ladies and gentlemen, a free webinar similar to this, except it won't be a Facebook Live. You have to actually register for this event, and it's going to be around the Cape Town property market. What we're going to be discovering is exploring Cape Town property strategies. We do know Cape Town is a bit of a market on its own. It has its own unique quirks, and Andrew's going to be having a free webinar with Darren Francis, the winner of last year's Investor of the Year award, and we're going to be talking about that a little later also. That's going to be happening on the 5th of September, so please mark it in your diary and go to our website to actually register. Next up, we have another free webinar on Thursday, so the 7th of September, and it's going to be exploring the different property strategies. So the first one is specifically for Cape Town, right? And then the next one is for in general, because that's what we do. We connect, we inform, and we educate as the SA Property Investors Network. Lastly, we're going to be having the coach and legal support webinar. That's on the 14th. And if you are a member, you get to actually be part of that. Next, we have the property investing done right. This is one of the big ones. This is our public event that's happening on the 14th of September at the Bryanston. So please get your tickets. They are still available. It's going to be huge. We're going to have live investors, I beg your pardon, who are going to be telling us about their stories, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because property investing is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It is most certainly not something that you can just, get into without the knowledge, because you're going to pay your school fees either in the beginning or the end. So we're going to be discussing all of this with real-life investors, and that's going to be happening on the 14th of September. Next, we're going to be having the 2-day workshop. This is going to be happening on the 16th and 17th of September. That's going to be happening in Cape Town. So if you want to, please get your tickets, and then we are going to be able to assist you with that. This is going to be a 2-day workshop. It is jam-packed. It is packed to the rafters. Lastly, we are going to be having the women's breakfast. This is happening in Johannesburg. So ladies, please come and join me on the 23rd. It's a breakfast. We're going to be having a speaker, just support, accountability for all my lovely ladies who are doing property. We're going to be having that on the 23rd of September, and that is in Edenvale. And we are going to be having a networking event in Pietermaritzburg on the 28th of September. Okay, there's a few more, which I will tell you a little later. But yeah, that is a lot. Actually, oh no. We're almost done. And the 30th and the 1st of October, I beg your pardon, we are going to be having our 2-day workshop in Johannesburg. You'll find out that about a little bit later. And then lastly, I said like 3 lastlies. That's how jam-packed our events are. 3 lastlies. We're going to be having a mastermind on the 28th of September. So please go to our website. That was a mouthful. Okay, it's events galore. Whatever one you want to attend, you'll be able to find out about it on the website. But we will go back to the reason why you have joined, and that is, okay, let us see who is saying what to me. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, please let me know where you're watching me from, and also if this is your first time watching us, I'd really love to know where our reach is going. As you heard, I've just said a plethora of events from the beginning of September, already on the 5th, right through. So please let me know which one you are going to be attending. Yes, as I said earlier on, we are going to be discussing something everybody should know of. If you own your own personal property and this is not an investment property, or you're starting your journey or you want to expand, you should know what this is, and that is the offer to purchase. However, in as much as we know what it is, very often people don't know how to use it correctly for it to be absolutely beneficial to them, especially as investors. And somebody who's going to help us unpack that is the phenomenal, absolutely amazing Alexa Levendale from Bruno Samau Law. Ladies and gentlemen, please put it in the chat box that you are excited to see Alexa. Alrighty then. And I'm still waiting, guys. It's supposed to be interactive. So help me put on a huge applause for Alexa. How are you doing, lovely lady?
I'm very well, thanks, Khali, and how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for asking. Yes, I was telling everybody that you are an expert extraordinaire in offer to purchases.
I did hear that introduction. It was lovely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, let's get straight into it. And ladies and gentlemen, please don't forget, as always, if you have questions for Alexa regarding OTPs and everything encompassing that, put them in the chat box. This is what we will do. We bring you experts and you guys can get value. So first thing is, we all know what an OTP is. For the most part, I'd like to think everybody who's viewing me knows what an OTP is. However, I've always wanted to know this, which is, why do we need an OTP? Why can't I just, we exchange money and I give you my house, you give me money, we're good?
So aside from OTPs, sale agreements, and all of that, I always tell my clients everything in writing. It's not like you can. If you want to walk up to someone and say, I want your house, and we do this verbally, you can do that. It's admissible. But then you're going to come to us very soon on a very panicked note saying, I don't have my money anymore and I don't get the house. And I can still sue on a verbal agreement. But it is very important to get everything in writing, because there are a lot of implied terms that they can add on both sides of the spectrum. So he can say footstoots and you walk into the house and it's a complete load of nonsense. And then it's an implied term, footstoots. At least when you have everything in writing, there's like a special terms place. So you can add, fix the window, fix the door. You can't really do that very well if you're doing it verbally. So that's how you say everything in writing.
Okay. Now we know, don't just go talking to people and saying, I'll give you a house for $1 million. All right. Next thing
don't talk to strangers
is, can I put anything I want? Because there was a story I remember, this is years ago, where a gentleman said they had put a clause that on signing on completion of signing the offer to purchase, the purchaser would need to give the seller a chocolate cake, and it was contractually in there, so he had to. But am I allowed to put anything I want in an OTP?
So unfortunately, you can actually put anything you want in a contract, but you have to think about it all the way till the very end.
Yeah.
So yes, I get it. On payment, you have to give me a chocolate cake. You've breached. Are we really going to go fight in front of a judge for a chocolate cake? Is a judge really going to say, I am going to grant that you have to buy this man a chocolate cake? So there are a lot of, it is very open-ended. If you agree and they agree and you sign a contract, that is a legal contract. But before putting things in agreement, think further. Think, if they breach, how can I get what I'm asking for? If you know nobody's going to give you a good order on that, then rather don't put it in the contract.
Okay. So you can't just put chocolate cakes. Okay. Noted. I can keep it going, guys. Please don't forget to put your questions in the chat box. This one is an interesting one, and I think it happens quite often with agreements, especially for investors. And that one is like, what is the standard timeline before an OTP lapses? Because someone would argue like, no, I thought I had more time, or no, I actually want to. And this is something that has happened where someone wants to get out of the contract because maybe they've gotten a better seller, or a better purchaser, or anything like that. So what is the actual standard timeline?
So there isn't a standard timeline. It all depends on your suspensive conditions. So whether you're getting loans, whether you're getting bonds, whether you're getting private financing, in your contract you would state you have to have an approved bond within 30 business days, or 14, which is what we put in a lot, because it doesn't take that long to get their pre-approval. But I actually am busy with a family member's conveyancing where they put in their contract that this will only lapse if I cannot sell my property. So yes, I was a bit touch and go when I saw that, because we've all been, most of us have been through that. Selling a property could take months.
Yes.
So that specific condition could last 3-4 months. But the standard, I would say, is 30 days after signature for bond approval or for private finance. But there are other ways you could also cancel. You can cancel if you get a new purchaser. So if I get a new purchaser, then it's a higher amount, then your agreement lapses. But suspensive conditions are really, really important, because if you don't firstly read them, you can get taken off like that, where they say 14 days, but unfortunately with your bank, it's 30 days. A lot of the agreements that I draft, I say 14 to 30 days for bond approval. But if you don't give me proof that you've at least tried to apply for the bond within 5 days, then we're going to have to sit down and talk. I can either extend it or I can cancel it then and there.
Okay, interesting. So as we keep the questions going, when we're talking about timelines and such, what are the penalties if I don't adhere to an OTP? Because we know it's a legally binding document.
Yes. So it also depends on how you've drafted the contract. You could be liable for all the charges, the wasted costs. So generally, when it comes to breaching an OTP, if there's a commission that's involved, if there are attorneys involved, you'll pay commission, you'll pay wasted costs. When it comes to someone that really wants the property, we could do a specific performance as well. So specific performance is where I tell you have to go forward with the contract because you breached it. And then obviously there's the normal cancellation, where if you breach and I'm actually over this, I can cancel the contract and walk away scot-free.
But then what happens in those cases where you're being, obliged to carry out the contract and maybe you didn't receive your bond? Or you can't receive the bond?
In that aspect, there's generally more of a wasted costs. So if it's really not your fault, you've tried, you can't, but you've breached it by going over the amount of time, you will be liable for payments. It's very difficult with specific performance because you can be forced to purchase this property. You have to find a way how. If I go to court for one of my clients, and I have before, where the guy decided at the very end, granted, he didn't fully breach, he just sort of disappeared for a while and waited for things to lapse. And then we found out. And we went to court, we got specific performance, and the sheriff signed his documents on his behalf because he had to. The sale was going to go through and he didn't have a way out of it. That's why I tell people so intensively, read your contracts. When signing documents, be careful who the purchaser is, who the seller is. I have a client now who, it's a husband and wife, signed an OTP together. She decided out of nowhere, I'm going to resign from my job. And now they've lost bond approval. But they're so far in, they have to now try and find a way to get this property. Granted, they want the property, but they're going through a lot of stress trying to find, because he doesn't have enough to get through the bond approval. And because she resigned, she has to get a job very fast to prove to the bank that the two of them can still afford the bond. So you have to read your contracts very, very carefully. It is very easy to breach one of these contracts.
So that's interesting, Alexa. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, please put your questions in the chat box, and I'll make sure that they get to Alexa. When you're talking about breaching and holding costs and such, my question then is, if you as the seller, right, you in turn get like, a higher offer or such, and I maybe had lapsed, but then now I'm like, wait, no, but I have the money. Here it is. Do you then are you obliged to take the original seller's offer, or can you go, well, no, this is over time. You know, I get to take the secondary offer.
So with a clause that we put in all of our contracts that scares me every single time, it's called the continued marketing clause. So technically, the first offer doesn't even have to breach. If a higher offer comes in, you can tell them, listen, you either match this offer or unfortunately, we can't take you on. And a lot of times I've seen people, they struggle to sell their property. They bring it down to a lower amount. Someone gets that offer in, and then someone comes in at the first offer value. And this is actually one of the clients that I am working on is now we're fighting with the first purchaser because they want the property, but the client got a higher offer and they want to go through that one. So yes, it would be easier for us if the first offer breached, but the seller does have the option. That's why we have continued marketing.
Okay, that is actually quite interesting. So I have a question here from Samkelo Ndlovu, and they want to know: is there a rand amount where an OTP wouldn't be valid? I.e., do I need to assign one if I'm purchasing a really cheap property, say less than 250,000? This is actually a very good question.
It is a very good question, but unfortunately, you will always need an offer to purchase. It goes hand in hand with the transfer documents that go to the deeds office, that go through the conveyances. And remember, as much as I fully plead with you to have a full document with all the different clauses and the citations, you can do simple contracts where it just says, I want to purchase this property. This is how much it is. This is who the conveyancer is. There are certain clauses that have to be put in writing for the deeds office, for the conveyancers. So you can do any style of contract that you want, but you will always need an offer to purchase.
So when you're saying that, just to piggyback off that, when you're saying you always need an offer to purchase, we did mention, technically you can do a verbal agreement and sell it off. However, I want to know in terms of, taxation or SARS, legally, do they actually require you to have an offer to purchase? Or in the instance of, like Sam is asking, or when you had mentioned earlier that you have a verbal agreement with this person, maybe it's somebody rural, you go to the police station, do an affidavit that I am selling my house to this person, and that's it. From a taxation, I'm not sure if you're an expert in that, but from that angle, would an offer to purchase still be necessary, or is the agreement enough?
So I'm not a tax practitioner, so I can't give tax advice. And I have to say that just in case anyone goes to SARS and shouts at me. So disclaimer.
Yes.
But I actually have an eviction that I'm handling right now where a domestic worker helped a lady while she was ill. And she told her many times during the end of her life that when I die, this property is yours. All she did was give the owner of the property a bit of money from her salary every month. And when this lady passed on, it wasn't in writing, it wasn't in anything, but she got the property. Then it turned out that because there was small messages and WhatsApps of her saying, don't worry, the property is yours when I pass away, she is now the owner. I personally am still doing some research on this eviction because that is a very weird way to obtain a property. Normally you'd need a will or something to state that. But I did a lot of research, and on SearchWorks, my client is now the owner of the property. So there are ways in which that you can get around the contracts. But if SARS does come for you, or if the bank does come up, if there's a bond involved, you will get through it, but it will cost you more. There will be a lot of applications and documents, and you will need attorneys. So you can get past it. You just will be the 1 out of 10 to get out.
Aha. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, the expert has said, please don't just be making agreements with people. At the very
least, you can, but don't.
Yes, can, but don't. And as we're wrapping up, in terms of offer to purchases, structurally, right? Should there be an offer to purchase for anything? Let's say I'm buying my property in a company, right, or a trust, something like that. would I still need an offer to purchase in those instances where it's like a completely separate entity? Or is the offer to purchase only when it's like person to person?
So it's every type of purchase. So we also do it for trust and we do it for companies. It's difficult when we do it for companies because a lot of people set up a company and then just start buying properties. They look deeper into those because obviously you have to check the financial background of the companies. But us personally, we tell our clients purchase in a purchase in a company or a trust to protect your personal assets from liabilities. And if anything goes wrong, they don't go for you personally, they go for your company. So I actually suggest to my clients to open up companies, open up trusts, and buy properties in those companies and trusts. But you would still need an OTP, yes.
Yes. So it's offered to purchase no matter what.
Yes.
Well, Alexa, I just want to say thank you so much for just giving us a genuine understanding of the offer to purchase. Like I said, a lot of people just understand what they are. And as we're coming to a close, this is something where maybe you and I might know the answer to this, but I think, there's quite a few viewers who may or may not know this. So then, the next question is, can I just get an offer to purchase from anyone? Do I need to see an attorney such as yourself, or can I honestly just draft an offer to purchase myself, or get it off the internet and we're good to go?
So I thought you were going to close the session up now, and I was going to bring that up because that is a brilliant question. You can get OTPs from absolutely anywhere, but it doesn't mean that it's catered to your specific purchase. We have seen people come to us with a P&A offer to purchase, or even from Remax or Rawson's, but there's cottages, the pool is broken, there are light fixtures that aren't working. And it says that, yes, all the fixtures and fittings are yours, you're buying it fitted, everything's great. But there are so many times in purchasing a property where you need specific clauses, where you need extra clauses, specific terms, special terms. You can go get a OTP anyway. They actually have these weird books at P&A that have loan agreements and surety ships. Don't use that, please. Don't use that. You can go buy it there and bring it to me and let me amend it for you. But with Sapin, with Bruno Smile attorneys, we have the OTPs. We've gone through it. We update it every single time someone just sneezes OTP. It's been updated. So rather go to someone that you know is there for your best interests, not for their pockets. Because we don't want you to come back later. Do you know how much time and effort we spend on cancellations? A lot less than just amending an OTP. I always tell my clients, come to me when you want me, not when you need me. Because it's going to cost you a lot more when you need me than when you want me.
Very well said. Very well said. And as we were about to, we have a question from Sam. And he wants to know, does the seller have to disclose in the OTP if there are issues with the body corporate if buying in a sectional title? This one is interesting since body corporate technically is a bit of its own entity, kind of, sort of, maybe.
So the seller wouldn't have to disclose it. The OTP is with regards to the property and any of those defects on the property. But I do suggest, because it will come back to you later if something happens and you knew and you could have actually disclosed it. So there are always ways to get out of something. So if there was a fight and now your property is being bullied by people or anything not stupid like that, there are always ways. There are specific performances, there are damages. One thing about law is there's always a way to get out of something and there's always a way to get into something. They will always find a way to kind of pull you back in. So even if you didn't cause the problem, if you knew the problem was there, they're going to try and come at you for that problem. So even if it's not, you have to disclose it, which you don't. It's the body corporate. They should join AGMs. They should do their research. Some way or somehow, they can find a way to pull you in. You will win. So even though you didn't disclose and they're fighting you, you will win, but at what cost? So my thing is just rather disclose, do what you have to protect yourself in the future.
Okay. Alrighty then. Well, with that, we come to a close. Thank you so much for for that, Alexa. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get into contact with Alexa from Bruno Samao Law, please just contact us on support@SA Property, and we will make sure you get into contact with her. The link is in the chat box. But as always, hopefully I will never have to see you when I need you, but it should always be when I want you. Thank you so much, Alexa.
Thank you so much for having me, everyone.
Thank you. Alrighty then, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, just giving you guys a recap of the events that we are going to be having. Like I said, it is a jam-packed month. The link is in the chat box for you guys to properly see which ones you would love to attend and which ones you need to register for in terms of the free webinars. But I'll just give you a quick run through again, as you know. And also, ladies and gentlemen, please don't forget to enter the Investor of the Year award. If you do not know what that is, please go into our website. Yes, the link is in the chat box. However, if you are shy, then you can then nominate somebody. If you know somebody shy or you are shy, you're like, I don't want to do it, but somebody else actually would make a great nominee, please put them on in the Investor of the Year award. So as we get the rundown, the very lengthy rundown of all the events that are happening in September, we have on the 30th and the 1st of October, that is the 2-day practical property investing workshop. This is where we unpack every single thing that encompasses property investing. Every single thing you can think of. We will do OTPs. We have done different structures, taxation, marketing, how to find finance, everything you've always wanted to know regarding property investing, we will be actually covering on this workshop. Next up, we have the mastermind that's happening on the 28th of September. That will be at 6 o'clock, and that's for intermediate and professional members only. So if you want to be part of that, you can either upgrade from the foundation or join us on a membership, and you'll get amazing value. Next, on the 28th of September, we're going to be having a networking event in Pietermaritzburg. Yes, so if you are in the Pietermaritzburg region, we are coming to your side. After that, on the Saturday, ladies, we're right back in Johannesburg, and that's going to be in Edenville, and we are having a women's breakfast. That's where we have support, we have a speaker, we have the know-how of, women in property, and that's going to help us grow as women in property. #SapinWomen. Next up, we have the 2-day practical property workshop in Cape Town. That's going to be on the 16th and the 17th of September. Please go to our website so you can catch the link and the tickets. After that, we are going to be doing the property investing. This is the big one. It's one of our last huge public events. It's going to be happening on the 14th of September. That is in Bryanston. So please get your tickets. Tickets are still available. We're also having the coaching and legal support webinar. This is on the 14th of September, and that's going to be online, so you can register for that. And we have our free webinars happening on the 7th of September and also on the 5th of September. And this one specifically is for Cape Town. We're going to be having the Investor of the Year award winner, Darren Francis. And that's going to be happening on Tuesday, the 5th of September. So please register. Yes, that was a mouthful. But as you know, as the SA Property Investors Network, what we want to do is we enrich, we teach, and we connect. So we literally are all about the connections that can happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, from me to you, next week, we are going to be discussing something that is scary, but also when you have the right information, it comes off just a little bit better. And that is scams and frauds that are happening in the property market. We are going to be having an investor, Ben Malapile, who's going to be talking about the horror story that he experienced in terms of property scams and frauds. And I would love to hear from you guys. So please join us again next week. From me to you, it is good.